This is the BG Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Good Thursday morning to you, Sam, and all of you wonderful folks out there. Sam, how you doing today, sir?
Doing well.
That's good.
It's Thursday.
It is Thursday. You are nearly at the brink of finals week.
Yeah,
Are you terrified yet, or feeling good?
Feeling
calm?
good. Yep.
You said you have like 4 finals this
4
time?
finals and 1 big presentation.
Oh, you're like a seasoned veteran by this point.
I know.
4 finals is like,
It's a
whatever.
walk in the park.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to have you here, Sam. We know this is only our second to last week with you.
It's true.
Next week is our last official week with you as a co-host, but we won't weep and mend our garments yet. We'll talk about that next week. But either way, though, we're excited to have all of you joining us here on the BG Sports Show. Remember, you can find us from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live on Spreaker.com and on Periscope. Good morning, everybody on Periscope. Remember, if you have any questions for us or comments about what we talk about on the show, please let us know on Periscope. You can find us at BG Sports Show on there. You can also find us all over the place on social media as well, but you can get us on demand if you want to listen to the show as well on iTunes, iHeartRadio, on Spreaker.com, and on Podbean as well.
And what Baxter had just mentioned, we are on social media. We are on Facebook at the BG Sports Show and Instagram at BG Sports Show. And then, as always, you can find us on Twitter anytime at BG Sports Show, at Baxter Colbert, and I am at Samuel_Wallace2.
Yes, indeed. 2 quick programming announcements for you. There will be no Connor Christensen with his Fight Corner on our show today. Connor is out sick, so we wish him the best and hope he feels better. Also, there will be no BG Sports Show tomorrow on Friday as well, due to Sports Radio America giving us the day off and some traveling that I have to do to go to Michigan to do some broadcasts for Sports Radio America. So if you love basketball, if you love the ABA, tune in to sportsradioamerica.com on Live 365 and tune in on Saturday evening at 6 p.m. and Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern or Central. I don't know which one it is, depending on. But either way, somewhere in that general time, and you can listen to the ABA on SRA Game of the Week. All right, well, we have a lot of good things to get to. David Kenyon of Bleacher Report will join us in our next segment, Sam. But before we get to any of that, though, it is time to talk a little bit about the Thursday night football game that takes place tonight. Usually, we don't care when it comes to Thursday night football. We're like, it's usually 2 garbage teams. It's usually like a Jacksonville, Tennessee, or just teams that don't even have a 500 record with a combined record. Like, it's not good. But tonight we have a fairly marquee matchup. We've got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Minnesota Vikings. However, this Minnesota Vikings team is in shambles. Their offense looks terrible, and pretty much everybody on their defense is out for an injury. At least the important people, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, looking at their defense, Anthony Barr, linebacker, Harrison Smith, free safety, Linval Joseph, defensive tackle. Yeah, they have a lot of big key guys on defense that they're definitely going to miss. Their defense is still probably twitching and quivering from the beating they took last week into Seattle.
No kidding. Yeah, if you give up, 38 points to Seattle I gave up last week?
At home.
Something of that nature. You don't just let a team march into your home stadium and score 38, 39 points on you unless you're like Cleveland or Chicago or Detroit or a team that's traditionally bad. But this is a Minnesota Vikings team that was fairly good, even going into last week's game. But now you look at the injury report this week, Sam. Anthony Barr, out. Harrison Smith, out. Linval Joseph, out. Andrew Sendejo, out. Robert Blanton, questionable. Those are 3 safeties, a defensive tackle, and a linebacker.
You're missing guys on all 3 levels.
No kidding.
That's going to be tough.
And Anthony Barr and Harrison Smith are game-changing defensive players for the Minnesota Vikings. And now you talk about both of them being out for this game against arguably the best offense in the National Football League. It raises a lot of questions. And I wonder if Minnesota fans are already starting to just scratch out that 4 in the loss column and put in a 5 already, knowing that this could be a very big beatdown in Arizona tonight.
Yeah, for them and actually for the Cardinals too. I hope for their sake they're not already scratching out that 10 and putting in an 11, because we've seen big teams before look over what they perceive to be easier wins to look ahead. So I hope Arizona's staying focused, staying at home. This is a game they should win. I mean, they're putting up almost 32 points a game. Minnesota's only putting up not even 20 points a game. This game should not be close.
It should not.
In Arizona. But Arizona needs to stay home, and stay consistent with their game plan and not already start looking to next week in the long break they're going to have.
It's a little ridiculous how skewed these numbers are between the two teams, because looking at the passing, rushing, and receiving leaders for both teams. You look at the passing. Teddy Bridgewater from Minnesota, of course. He only has 8 passing touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
A little about 2,400 yards, basically. You look at Carson Palmer, he's thrown for basically 3,700 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions on the season. So immediately That jumps off the page. And it's so hard for me to realize that Minnesota is still 8-4. Up until a week or two ago, they were the best team in the NFC North, one of the top teams in the NFC, even in the NFL as a whole. And now is the fact that they're doing it with an 8 quarterback, who's got 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I understand that Adrian Peterson has carried the team
Literally.
a lot. He's got almost 1,200 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns to Chris Johnson's 814 yards and 3 touchdowns. However, Minnesota has still found ways to win, but they've done it, though, with their defense because they've been able to score minimal points, but their defense was able to step up and shut down opponents.
Yeah, Minnesota's traditionally, up to this point in the season, has been playing very good, close football. Less than 25 points scored, and they're winning close games.
They are, which is a good thing to have because so many times you hear of teams in the NFL that can't win the close one. They can't win the close one. Oh, they can get within 3, or they have a 7-point lead. Now they blow it in the end. It's like, no, they've done well for being able to hold on to the close games. Looking at the last 5 games for Minnesota, they lost 38-7 against Seattle. As we mentioned, they beat Atlanta 20-10. They lost to Green Bay 30-13, and then they pounded Oakland 30-14, and then they won in overtime against the Rams 21-18. So there hasn't really been a lot of consistency in terms of either they win by a lot or they lose by a lot or they win the close games. Like at least the last 5 games, they've kind of been all over the place. But then you look over at Arizona, and they've had a fairly easy time. But they've also played 3 out of the 3 pretty easy teams in the NFL between the Rams, the 49ers, and the Browns.
Yep.
But then they also did beat Seattle, and they did beat Cincinnati.
Exactly.
So that immediately raises their stock in my mind, in my eyes, saying, well, this is an Arizona team that can go out and beat 2 high-profile teams in the AFC and NFC.
Yeah, looking at an article I'm looking at here on ESPN.com, a lot of the common thread and the common theme I'm seeing from a lot of quotes from players and coaches is, we're not done yet. We're not satisfied. We want to finish the year strong. We're too well coached to be thinking anything but playoffs or Super Bowl at this point in the season. I know we talked last week or earlier in the week on the show about how the Cardinals, their season last year kind of unraveled before their eyes after Carson Palmer went down. Whether they have Drew Stanton in there for a little while, and then he went down.
And they did the best they could with what they had.
They could, but
nobody can take that away from them.
I think everyone, even Arizona, knew inevitably what was going to happen. Like, they weren't going to be able to make a deep push with their third-string quarterback, and that's not a knock on their third-string quarterback, and they know that, but it was just the reality of the situation. So this year they're really looking to finish strong, and they're looking to cap off they're on a 6-game win streak right now, the Cardinals are. So if it wasn't for the Panthers being undefeated, I think a lot of people would be talking about how great Arizona has been playing thus far.
I agree. And you look at the 2 losses for Arizona this year. They lost to St. Louis back early on in the season. They lost week 4 to St. Louis. They lost 24-22. Then they lost in week 6 to the Steelers, 25-13. So even the results from that perspective are a bit skewed for Arizona as well, because they lost to a bad team. They lost to a good Rams team at that time.
I was going to say, the Rams were good earlier.
They were
in the
good.
year.
Rams, I feel like, are one of those teams that always start off hot every year, and everyone's like, is this finally the year for the Rams? And then we see where they're at now, where they're 4-8 right now, and they look terrible.
Yep.
But Pittsburgh at that time was in the middle of figuring things out with injuries, but still managed to come away with a victory on that game. But as you mentioned, they're on a 6-game win streak. Arizona, to finish out the year, doesn't have the easiest schedule. They've got Minnesota.
Yep.
I'd say Minnesota's the easiest game going forward, because then they play Philly. Because I feel like a healthy Philly is better than this banged-up Minnesota team.
Man,
at least in my opinion, I would take Philadelphia over what this Minnesota team is right now.
Probably. I mean, I still just don't like the Philadelphia Eagles defense, which is the thing. They can give up points in bunches. And for Minnesota, to their credit, when their defense is healthy, they've been playing very well.
True. Yeah. So then they finish off with Green Bay, which will be a fun game, and then they play Seattle as well. Barring any craziness, Arizona shouldn't have to worry about playing Seattle for the division championship because they've got a 3-game lead. So I think as long as they beat Minnesota and at least win one more game, they'll be fine and don't have to deal with that game against Seattle as a crucial division title game for them.
Exactly.
We did have somebody on Periscope Fast, Sam. I want to mention they asked what we thought about the Jets being a current 6th seed for the NFL playoffs. I didn't catch your username, so I'm sorry. If you're out there, please comment back. But I think that the Jets do have a good possibility of making it into the playoffs in a wild card spot, but I still think that there's still way too much time. And as we know with the NFL, there's so many crazy things that can happen. I mean,
if the playoffs were to start today, the Jets would go to New England.
Yes, which would be a little bit dicey, honestly. I think you can say, well, it's a big rivalry. It might really work out well for them, but I just don't know for sure, realizing that. So Sherlock Holmes as well, by the way, great username on Periscope, says, did you guys know if Dallas wins one more game, the whole division is tied for first place? Yes.
Tied for last place, he said.
Oh, tied for last place.
Yeah.
Tied for last place and tied for first place
Yep.
all at the same time. I did know that, and I'm terrified by that because I don't feel like Dallas. I feel like if Dallas if the NFC East is smart, they will not let Dallas go to the playoffs because Dallas will get handled hard. I think Washington or the Giants, maybe could put up a fight.
I feel the Giants are the best playoff team out of that division.
I agree. And if Philly happens to find some momentum here towards the end of the year, that's
Maybe.
also possible. But thinking about the Cowboys in the playoffs right now just makes my head hurt.
I mean, for Philadelphia, the last time they were in the playoffs, in my memory, well, they probably were in another time, but when they were in the playoffs in the Packers won the Super Bowl, they had a quarterback tandem of Nick Folk and Michael Vick.
Ugh.
So
yeah, not exactly.
that just tells you something there.
Exactly, it does. Yeah, it's not exactly an ideal situation, but
No.
it happens. So, what is your prediction for the ball game tonight, Sam, with Arizona and Minnesota?
Gosh, Arizona's going to put up probably 32 or 35 points, and I hope the Vikings find the end zone twice. I'm going to say like 35-14.
Fair enough. What was it? Sorry, what was you say?
35-14.
35-14 Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I feel like Adrian Peterson's going to get going at least a little bit tonight, so I think he'll keep it close in the first half, but Arizona overall is going to pull away, and their defense is going to figure him out in the second half. So I think that Minnesota will get 17 first half points and maybe finish the night with 20. I think they'll get a Blair Walsh field goal as well, and Arizona's going to probably cap it off at about 31 points.
There we go.
So 31-20 is my prediction.
Perfect.
In favor of Arizona. Let us know your thoughts as well about the game. Find us on social media by going to BG Sports Show on Twitter and at Baxter Colburn at Samuel_Wallace. And before we go to a break, quick note from one of our sponsors. That would be Student Debt Center. You can call them today to have your student loan payments reduced by calling 855-401-3508.
That number again is 855-401-3508. Back with more after the break.
Welcome back to the BG Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Quick reminder for all you listeners out there that if you enjoy listening to the BG Sports Show, you can find us right here from 7 to 8 a.m. Central, live on Spreaker.com and on Periscope as well.
You can also find us when we are broadcasted from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time on SportsRadioAmerica.com, Live 365, and tune in.
All right, Sam. You know what day it is?
It's Thursday.
It's Thursday, which means we get to talk to Bleacher Report's David Kenyon about the world of football. So good morning, David. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well.
Oh, good to hear. We had talked in our first segment a little bit about the Arizona-Minnesota game. Just want to get your thoughts about that game as a whole, especially now with all the injuries on defense being released by Minnesota. What are your thoughts about that ball game?
Yeah, Minnesota's in trouble, a lot of trouble. Arizona loves to pass deep, and Minnesota's secondary is banged up. I didn't see the official one this morning. I will look that up right now.
It's bad. It's real bad.
I saw earlier this week. I mean, they basically had an injured defense on the report.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that hasn't changed, they're still in trouble. Arizona's going to pass deep on them all day. You get the run set up with Davidson. If he can start banging out 7 hard yards a carry, I mean, this game's going to get ugly.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, Sam spotted Arizona. What was it, 35 points. I gave Arizona 31, and we just kind of think that this is going to be a game that Adrian Peterson might keep it close in the first half, but I just feel like the longevity of the game, it's going to be Arizona that just ends up steamrolling them, especially with this being a home game for them as well.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Peterson, I guess you can call him fresh after not being used much. Sunday, Arizona's banged up to the degree of they just played on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, I think this is a 31-14 kind of game.
Agreed. All right, so I'm curious to know, with all the games taking place this weekend, I feel like usually we wouldn't care. You look at teams that are 5-7, but 5-7 teams right now are a hot commodity if you're in the NFC East. How big are these NFC East games this coming weekend? Because aside from Dallas, everybody else is tied for first place in the NFC East, which just pains me to say.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Dallas. Packers and Jets and Bills next. They're going to lose twice. They're done. I'm not worried about them. But then Washington, Philadelphia, New York. It's going to be a pretty good fight to the finish. Washington does have the edge, other than they do play 3 road games coming up.
Yep.
And they have not won a game on the road yet this year. The Giants have a bit of trouble because they play on the road at Miami on Monday night.
Yep.
And then follow that up with the Panthers and Vikings, which is the toughest remaining slate. And then Philadelphia gets the Bills this week, but then the Cardinals next week. So Washington is the front runner if they overcome their road issues.
Okay, yeah, being 0-5 is not exactly stellar, especially in the NFL. I mean, if you're 5-7 and they're still looking at, thankfully for them at least, they'd probably get to host a playoff game, which is still crazy to say. So for the first game at least, they wouldn't have to worry about going on the road. But like you said, they got 3 games left. They still got a lot of business that needs to get done as well.
Yeah, and David, I was looking at the slate of games for this weekend. One that's really sticking out at me, I'm sure a lot of people are looking at on the AFC side. Curious to get your thoughts on the Steelers going to Cincinnati.
Oh, I love that game. I will be.
Yeah, me too.
I will be tuned in. Yeah, Pittsburgh really always gives Cincinnati trouble, no matter, or vice versa, really. When Cincinnati's been not as good as Pittsburgh, it's always a tight game. At Cincinnati is huge because if that's at Pittsburgh, I'm not sure that's within 20. But at Cincinnati, this is going to be great. I think it's like 34-31. Pittsburgh needs this pretty bad.
Yeah.
Because they're tied with the Jets and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are probably going to win 3 more games at least. Their schedule is inviting, to say the least. But then Pittsburgh, they have Denver next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do need this game.
So Pittsburgh kind of needs this game to keep pace with the Jets, who should win on Sunday against the Titans.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I do like the Chiefs this weekend, too, playing at home against the Chargers. I definitely see the Chiefs' winning streak continuing against the Chargers this weekend.
Oh, yeah, and their schedule goes Chargers, Ravens, Browns, Raiders. If they don't win 3, that's shocking. If they don't win 4, I'd be surprised.
Do you think the Chiefs could win out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what is that? 3-9, 4-8, 2-10, 5-7?
Yeah. I like the Chiefs' chances, honestly, looking at it from that perspective. We did have somebody on Periscope a little while ago asking us about what we thought about the Jets being in the current playoff standings if they were to start today. What's the realistic part about the Jets' longevity the remainder of the season for a possible playoff bid?
Well, the next 2 weeks they go Titans-Cowboys. I mean, you get Steelers to lose twice. I mean, for the Bengals and Broncos, you get the Jets at 9-5 and the Steelers at 7-7. and I think that would clinch the playoffs for them.
Jeez. Okay.
Because they would have a 7. Oh, wait, hold on a second. 6-4. Okay, it'd just about do it. They would have a 6-4 conference record, and the Steelers would have a 4-6. So then they would have to beat the Patriots or Bills. And I mean, I'm not expecting a win over the Patriots, especially if Gronk is back at that point.
Have you heard any more of it on a timetable of Rob Gronkowski at all? I know he's like week to week right now, but I'm sure fantasy owners at this time of the year for playoffs, but also Patriot fans as a whole are kind of hoping. I've heard mixed reviews that he's week to week, but have you heard any other different news about that?
No, I've only heard week to week. He missed practice yesterday.
Okay.
And I know Adam Schefter had said he's unlikely to come back this week, which I think was pretty safe to assume anyway.
Okay.
But I don't know when Gronk's coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses another 2 weeks.
Wow. They might just be resting him. If they can get to the playoffs at least, I think that's not the worst idea. Obviously, you want to get him back as soon as possible, but you don't want to rush a player like him because if he takes another bad hit and he's gone for the entire playoff run, well, then that's an entirely different Patriots team that you have to game plan for.
Right, and I think that's exactly what they're doing. They don't have to rush him back. They haven't closed out the Jets yet for the division, but the magic number's 2. All they have to do is beat the Titans and Dolphins or Texans. I mean, they'll be okay.
Okay. Now, I'm curious because I love what-if scenarios for playoffs, and there's 4 games left. I feel like the AFC more than the NFC is a little bit more wide open. Well, yes and no. They're both pretty open. When you look at the wild cards for each one, looking at the AFC first, what are the possibilities of teams like Buffalo or Oakland or even Houston finding a wild card spot at this point in the season?
Well, Oakland in particular is just about dead. They play the Broncos and Packers over the next 2 weeks, and 9 losses, 7-9, 8-8 is not going to get it done in the AFC for the wild card. So unless they spring a miracle victory here in the next 2 weeks, Oakland is done. Houston, Indianapolis does have the edge. Especially if the Texans lose on Sunday, the Colts could clinch the AFC South next week. But if the Texans beat up on the Patriots at home without Gronkowski, and then they beat the Colts,
that is, yeah.
It could happen. I mean, it's why they play the game.
They played the Titans and Jaguars to close the season, so it's possible.
So the odds are semi in their favor.
There's an AFC South wild card.
You don't? Okay. Interesting. What about Buffalo? I mean, Rex Ryan's done enough, I feel like, to keep the team relevant. They're 6-6. Technically only a game out of the playoffs right now, but I feel like that would take the Jets collapsing for Buffalo to get in, but I know Pittsburgh is hot and heavy trying to grab one of those wild card spots.
Not necessarily Jets collapse. The Bills have the Eagles, Washington, the Cowboys, and the Jets on the schedule, and the Bills beat the Jets earlier this year, so they have any tiebreaker if they beat the Jets again.
Okay.
And I mean, that's a very realistic 9-7 finish. If there's any 6-6 team anywhere in the league that has a chance, it's Buffalo.
Interesting. Yeah, I do like what Buffalo's doing. I think they've got a fun little thing that they're throwing around out there. Looking over at the NFC really quick before we let you go, David. Tampa Bay's 7, Atlanta 8, Philly 9, New York and Chicago technically 10-11. Who do you like out of those teams? I know Tampa Bay's been talked about a lot in terms of the playoffs, of sneaking a wild card, especially if we see Minnesota continue to slide out. But is it possible that we see Tampa jump in the playoffs or Philly even win the division over Washington? Because I know the NFC East right now is literally anybody's game.
Yeah, I think the East does come down to Philly and Washington. But, I mean, again, we're not going to see we're not going to see a wild card out of the AFC South or NFC East. And the Bucs' only chances to get in, Vikings have to lose. Because 2 games back, the Bucs' schedule is okay. It's Saints, Rams, Bears, and then they finish with the Panthers. That's not fun, but so be it.
But it's doable.
Vikings have the Cardinals, Bears, Giants, Packers. So let's assume the Vikings lose twice, whether that's the Cardinals and Packers, or by some miracle the Giants win too.
Sure.
Which would put them in the NFC East, but different story. Then the Bucs have a chance, but the Bucs pretty much have to win 4 games because the Vikings and Bucs are tied record-wise in the conference right now. I don't know their common opponents off the top of my head. So if the common opponents favor the Vikings right now anyway, Tampa they have to go 4-0.
Okay. I have a hard time seeing Tampa going 4-0. I know that they do own a few tiebreakers over people, but I just don't know for sure if that's going to happen. I think it'd be great to see a team like Tampa in the playoffs, just to mess with some people and shake it up a little bit.
I like what the Bucs are doing. I think it would be fun to get them in.
Yeah, exactly. We had a guy on Periscope a few weeks ago.
Wow.
Saying, watch out for the Bucs, and he was semi-joking when they were like, only had 2 or 3 wins, but then they've rattled off a few more wins here now, and they're at least a fun team to watch, if anything else. They give you a good entertainment value when you go watch a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game.
Yeah, and I mean, again, their schedule, it sets up for it, especially if Carolina rests their players in Week 17. So Tampa Bay's a team to watch, but Atlanta, no, they're sliding out of control and play the Panthers twice over the next 3 weeks. So that's trouble.
Yeah, I just have a hard time getting on board with Atlanta the rest of the season. So they started off hot, but it just never quite worked out for them like it usually does. So, all right, well, thank you, David. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. David Kenyon of Bleacher Report. You can find him on Bleacher Report and all over the writing world, and especially on social media. Sir, where can they find you and your wonderful wisdom on Twitter?
You can find me and my wisdom at Kenyon19_BR on Twitter.
Fantastic. David Kenyon, always a pleasure, sir. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll chat with you again next Tuesday.
Yep, have a good one.
All right, sounds good.
All right, we will be back with more on the BG Sports Show right after this. We're going to play a little playoff what-if scenarios with the NFL.com playoff generator, and coming up later on, we also have our new BG Sports Show Power Rankings. Sam's a little mad at me, but we'll figure that out a little bit later. There's no reason for trivial matters right now, Sam. We'll talk about it coming back with more on the BG Sports Show after this. Welcome back to the BG Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Quick reminder for all of you social media gurus out there that if you enjoy the BG Sports Show, we encourage you to go to Facebook and give us a like at the BG Sports Show. You can also go to Facebook, which is what I just said, but you can also go to Twitter because English and reading and stuff. Go to Twitter. You can follow us at BG Sports Show on Twitter and Instagram as well.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter. We are at Baxter Colburn and at Samuel_Wallace2.
You don't have to follow me if you don't want to because I apparently don't know English or where our nation's capital is.
Do we need to go to another break?
I might need to. It's ridiculous. So
Well, let's do this first. This is going to be
Sam,
fun.
it's the most wonderful time of the year
It is.
because the NFL.com playoff picture predictor is here, and it allows fans like you and I to predict what we think might happen the rest of the season and see the ever-changing scenarios, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
I feel like we can briefly walk through. I mean, there's 4 weeks left of the season. We'll kind of skip through all 4 weeks really fast.
Yep.
And kind of just offer our predictions really fast and see how everything shakes out.
Uh-huh.
Make sense for you?
Sure, let's do it.
So we both have Arizona winning against Minnesota tonight, correct?
Yep.
Okay, starting here in Week 14. Buffalo, Philly.
I'm going to go Buffalo.
Okay, I've got Philly in that one. Tennessee, the Jets.
Jets, Jets.
There you go. Pittsburgh and Bengals.
Steelers.
Yeah, I got Steelers winning that one too. Patriots, Texans.
Patriots.
Colts, Jaguars.
Jags.
I got Jags too. Chargers, Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yep, for sure. Redskins, Bears.
Skins.
Yep. Panthers, Falcons.
Panthers.
Buccaneers, Saints.
Bucks.
Rams, Lions.
Lions.
Yep. 49ers, Browns.
Manziel for days, apparently.
Yeah, I'm giving that one to them too. Raiders, Broncos.
Broncos.
Cowboys, Packers.
America's real team, the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, take that, Dallas. Seattle, Baltimore.
Gosh, Seahawks.
It's going to be bad. And Giants, Dolphins.
Giants.
Giants, Dolphins. All right. Working on to Week 15.
Oh, my gosh. Here we go.
Your turn.
All right, Buccaneers, Rams.
Bucks.
Bucks. Jets, Cowboys.
Jets.
Panthers, Giants.
I'm going to go with the upset, going Giants.
All righty. Cardinals, Eagles.
Cardinals.
Vikings, Bears.
Bears.
Ooh, Falcons, Jags.
Jags.
Jags for days. Colts, Texans.
Texans.
Texans. Titans, Patriots.
Patriots.
Patriots. Chiefs, Ravens.
Chiefs.
Bills, Redskins.
Skins.
Yeah, there we go. Seahawks, Browns.
Not Johnny Manziel. Seattle Seahawks.
Packers, Raiders.
Packers.
Broncos, Steelers.
Steelers.
Ooh, Dolphins, Chargers.
Dolphins.
Bengals, 49ers.
Bengals.
Thank you. Lions, Saints.
Lions.
All right.
So this is interesting.
Here
I'm
we go.
seeing what the finished product is. Week 16, here we go. For those of you that don't know, we're going quickly through the NFL.com playoff predictor, offering our predictions for the rest of the season, and then seeing what the playoffs look like after that. So here we go. Week 16, Raiders, Chargers.
Chargers.
Skins, Eagles.
Skins.
Ooh, I got Eagles. Jaguars, Saints.
Jags.
Colts, Dolphins.
Fish.
I got Colts winning that one. Patriots, Jets.
Pats.
Texans, Titans.
Marcus Mariota with the upset.
I was going to say I got to go upset on that one too. Browns, Chiefs.
Chiefs.
49ers, Lions. Lions for sure. Vikings, Giants.
Giants. Vikings season is going to implode on itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Panthers, Falcons.
Panthers.
Yeah. Bears, Bucks.
Bucks.
Ooh, I got the Bears stealing a game.
All right, they can steal one.
Cowboys, Bills.
Bills.
Yeah. Packers, Cardinals.
Cardinals. I hate to say it.
I'm going to go with the Packers.
Cardinals are too hot right
I'm
now.
going to go with the Packers. Got to
That's
do it.
fine.
Rams, Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah. Steelers, Ravens.
Steelers.
Bengals, Broncos.
Broncos.
Yep, I got Broncos winning that one too.
All right, here we go. Week 17. Jets, Bills.
Jets.
Jets. Patriots, Dolphins.
Patriots.
Bengals, Ravens.
Don't
Bengals.
Bengals.
Dare. Steelers, Browns. Skip.
Steelers.
Jaguars, Texans.
Jaguars.
Jags for days. Titans, Colts.
Titans.
Raiders, Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Redskins, Cowboys.
Just because the Cowboys
For
are
the division.
stupid. Cowboys are going to win.
Cowboys are going to win.
Just because they're stupid.
Just to spite the NFC East. Eagles, Giants.
The Eagles.
Eagles. Lions, Bears.
Bears.
Packers, Vikings.
Packers.
Saints, Falcons.
Falcons.
Saints are going to win that game by a lot.
They are.
Buccaneers, Panthers.
Just for the heck of it, Buccaneers.
Only because the Panthers are going to be taking the week off.
Yeah.
Chargers, Broncos.
Broncos.
Seahawks, Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Thank you. Rams, 49ers.
49ers.
Yep, just because that's going to sum up the Rams season right there.
All right, so looking at it, I think you and I picked slightly differently on a few games, so I don't know if it was enough to shake everything totally up.
Where do I go?
Scroll all the way to the top.
All the way to the top.
That's what it looks like now.
Ah.
So, what does your AFC look like?
My AFC, the Pats get the first seed at 14-2.
Okay.
Broncos get the second seed at 13-3.
That's exactly what mine looks like also.
All right, and then we have the AFC wildcard matchup.
Okay.
We have the 11-5 Steelers going to the 12-4 Bengals.
Interesting.
And
okay.
then I have the 11-5 Chiefs going to the 8-8 Jaguars,
Woo!
who snuck and stole the division.
Yep, I've got the same. Steelers 11-5 going to the Bengals at 12-4, and then Chiefs go to the Jaguars as well. Let's go Jags.
Go Jags.
Go Jags. I'd like to see it. It's nice to see the Chiefs and the Jaguars in the playoffs because I'm so tired of the same 6 cookie-cutter AFC teams every year.
Yep.
It's always, Bengals, Steelers, Patriots, Broncos, Colts.
Somebody.
And then some poor guy that gets drop-kicked out of the wild cards.
Pretty much.
So, all right. What does your NFC look like?
I have the Cardinals, actually, with the first-round bye, or the first seed in the first round bye at 14-2, owning the tiebreaker over the Panthers, who finished 14-2 as well.
Okay. I've got Panthers at first seed with 14-2, Cardinals at 13-3.
All right.
And my second seed.
All right. Then in my first wild card matchup, I have the 10-6 Seahawks going to the 11-5 Green Bay Packers.
Interesting. Okay. And your second game?
And I have the 10-6 Buccaneers. They're in. There you go, Cam Fitch 32. They are going to play the 8-8 Monsters of Maryland, the Redskins.
I love it. I have Tampa going to Green Bay.
Nice.
The 9-7 Buccaneers going to the 12-4 Packers, and then I've got the 10-6 Seahawks going to the 8-8 Eagles.
Ooh, all right. So you have Eagles taking the NFC East.
I do.
I do think a healthy, well-run Eagles team is very good.
I agree. Yeah,
They just don't put that together ever.
No, I agree. As we can see here, too, as I'm futzing with it, the last game of the season, Eagles-Giants, could be the game that decides it all.
It could
Because
be.
as I'm seeing on mine, as I switch between the Eagles and the Giants, it's either the Giants are in or the Eagles are in. The Eagles are only in with a win, a tie, or a Giants win. Giants are in.
Yep, same thing. I switched my last game to Giants, and sure enough, look at that. The Giants are in. So that game, if you are in the NFC East, it is going to be competitive and fun. It's just not good football.
I agree. No, I completely agree with you on that. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. So if we were to swap out the Vikings and the Packers last game of the year, it doesn't make a difference. I'm just trying to see if there's any games last game of the year that would shatter. If Tampa loses last game of the year, Tampa still is in.
Well, I'm just looking at my scenario here, something I just thought of, and I have the Panthers tied with the Cardinals at 14-2.
Yeah.
The Cardinals owning the tiebreaker based on strength of schedule, but I also had the Falcons I had the Buccaneers beating the Panthers in the last week of the year.
I did too.
If there are implications where the Panthers are going to have that first round bye regardless, but if they were to lose the number 1 seed if they lost the game, I could see something like that maybe changing then, because they definitely want the road to the playoffs to come through Carolina, not through the desert.
I agree.
So that could have, the Panthers are going to be in regardless, I feel, and they're going to get a first round bye.
Yes.
I'd be curious to see how well or how much differently they're coached if it's going to be the first seed or the second seed, because we've seen that can make a big difference.
I agree with you on that one. At least according to mine that I have, because I've got Green Bay beating Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
If Seattle finishes off Arizona the end of the year, Green Bay gets the second seed in mine, because then
Wow.
Green Bay would own the tiebreaker
Wow.
over Arizona.
At this point, I'm just hoping the Packers, can win their division. I wasn't even thinking about the potential of them getting a bye.
Getting a bye, yeah. Because right now in mine, I've got Carolina, Green Bay as my first rounders. If with the change around situation, Tampa would go to Arizona, Seattle would go to Philly.
Okay, man, you'd have. Wow, crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean,
I just don't feel the Pack currently. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. The Packers do not deserve a first round bye the way they're playing.
No,
right now.
I don't. I don't agree with you either. I do think that. Yeah, wow. There's just so much garbage going on here. Looking at the NFC, according to at least how I've got it. I've got 5 8-8 teams: Bears, Vikings, Eagles, Skins, Giants.
In the NFC?
In the NFC, yeah.
Man.
When's the last time Tampa would have a better record than all of those teams?
I don't know,
It's
but
been a long time.
the Falcons season is done. I really think the Vikings season is pretty much done too
I
after
agree.
tonight.
Oh, I completely agree with you on that one. Hypothetically, if the Raiders were to win there, that doesn't make a difference. Well,
Man, we could spend hours
no,
on this.
I know.
thing.
That's the great thing about it, too. I spent like 45 minutes the other night just futzing with this.
If anybody's curious, it's on NFL.com/playoff predictor.
Yeah.
So
Go out there, check it out. Let us know your thoughts about it.
presented by ExxonMobil.
Ah, well done. Shameless plug for ExxonMobil. Trying to think if there's anything else that I was teetering on. If the Bengals were to beat the Steelers this week, does that change much? Bengals are 13-3. They still don't get a bye. No.
Brock Osweiler gets the bye. Come on, give it to him, Big
He
Brock.
does. Biggie Brock. I love it. What if Oakland wins?
I don't
this
care.
week?
It won't matter.
Doesn't make a difference. Broncos are out of the first round bye. I'm just
Ooh.
tired of the same. Like I said, I'm just tired of the same 4 or 5.
But
teams.
you know, I get it. But it's not the Peyton Manning Broncos. It's the Brock Osweiler Broncos. So I'm okay with
the
it.
Brock Broncos.
It's the Brock's Broncos, baby.
I think
it's
that
like
should be
backyard football.
As it is, like Brock's Broncos, like the shirts. I mean, I think a picture of it says Brock's Broncos with a big picture of Brock with the football holding it.
Vote for Brock.
Yeah,
on the back of it,
exactly.
like those vote for Petro shirts.
I like it. All right, well, we're going to go to a break, but before we do, we're going to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors of the BG Sports Show. That would be Student Debt Center. You can call them now to inquire about your student loans being reduced by calling 855-401-3508 to make one easy student loan payment and to stop or avoid garnishments from your check.
Again, that number is 855-401-3508 for much lower payments based on your income and living circumstances rather than a fixed, simple interest rate. You should call now before Congress makes cuts to the national budget, which will nullify this free program. Remember, 855-401-3508. Back with more after the break.
Welcome back to the BG Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Quick reminder for all of you that if you enjoy listening to the BG Sports Show, we'd ask you to consider becoming a financial supporter of the BG Sports Show.
You can find out how to donate now on our website, which is bgsportshow.podbean.com.
Yes,
and when you get to the website, click on the Become a Patron button in the top right corner.
Absolutely. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I'm just excited telling people.
That's fine.
We're excited to have people donate and keep the show alive. So thank you for all that, folks. Well, Sam, do you want to chastise me now, or do you want to talk? Do you want to get to it?
You know, I'm just going to do it right now.
It's fine.
Because
do what you got to do.
So
Say what you need to say.
Say what you need to
Exactly.
say. So for all of the listeners out there who know that we do our power rankings every week, and we apologize for not doing them yesterday per usual, but we're glad that we got them in before the Thursday night game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We have our top 10 teams as voted on by the, basically what, would you call them our staff?
They're our staff. Realistically,
They kind of work for us, of the BG Sports Show. We're a Wisconsin-based sports show, so every once in a while people give us a little bit of flack for plugging the Packers in certain locations and maybe being anti-other teams. But we do our best, so forgive us for that. However, in our top 10 rankings this weekend, I was compiling the results, and Baxter, you know which team you did not put in the top 10?
Who's that, Sam?
You did not put the 10-2 Cincinnati Bengals anywhere in your top 10.
How could I do such a thing?
Anywhere.
How?
I
What?
know.
Come on.
If we go back to the archives, there
Come
are
on.
many records of you saying you are not an Andy Dalton fan. You don't think they can win in the playoffs. And I agree with you on the playoff part. It's still the regular season. They started off 8-0.
I
And
mean,
they are
yes.
They are 10-2 this year, and for as bad as the NFL has been, I think every day we somehow trash the NFL for having just a weak, lackluster season.
True.
If you have 10 wins in a very poor NFL league, you have to be somewhere in the top 10.
I mean, I suppose. And just to defend myself for a moment, as I'm going through submitting my votes, I think this is what happens. It speaks volumes of what Cincinnati is doing right now because...
Or not doing.
Exactly. Because
I get it.
if I didn't think of them, I looked through all the standings. I looked at every team. I went through every single thing, and my brain never once clicked saying, you should choose Cincinnati. Put them in here. And I would have put them in the top probably 6.
Yeah.
But because it just didn't click.
Yeah, and actually, if you would have voted for Cincinnati at some point, it would have shaken things up
That's
probably
true.
quite a bit.
Ooh, my.
So, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll
I
get
agree.
there.
And just for a moment, Sam, you
Yes.
say, people yell at us. They say we plug the Packers. Sometimes it happens. Go Pack, go! But that's completely
it
irrelevant.
needs to happen
It
every
does.
once in a while.
Sometimes you just need to hear that and just pretend like everything's
Know
okay.
that life's going to be okay.
Exactly. So, Sam,
All right.
what do we got?
Week 13 coming in at number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Dropping.
Do we want to talk about our lookers?
Now we'll do those at the end.
Okay, they're not worth it.
No, they're not worth it, considering you were the only one who voted for them. So
What are you gonna do?
coming in at number 10, dropping 4 spots from last week. The Minnesota Vikings, who, by the way, are going to have one awesome looking stadium when it
Heck
finally
yeah.
gets built.
Woo,
But
glass.
they're not playing awesome football right now.
I agree. Minnesota Vikings at 10, dropping from 6. How unfortunate. Our number 9 team is up a spot. They are continuing to roll. That would be the Chiefs or the Chiefs or the Chives of Kansas City.
Go Alex Smith.
Alex Smith and company making it done. They don't need Jamal. They don't need no man. That's not it. They just don't need Jamal Charles. And they grabbed the number 9 spot in our power rankings this week.
They found out what they can do with a talented wide receiver.
What's that like?
I don't know.
Alex Smith is like, what is this throwing thing?
Because Dwayne Bowe wasn't getting it done. Coming in at number 8, busting into the rankings after being one of our looking in teams
Busta Rhymes.
last week's. Yeah, no kidding. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are playing incredibly hot football right now.
How were they not in our power rankings last week?
I don't know.
How were they not in our power rankings? How was Indianapolis in our power rankings last week?
Because like 3 people gave him token votes.
Gosh, people are stupid.
Because they like Matt Hasselbeck, which I like him too. You're welcome. You're welcome, Indianapolis.
Yeah,
But
I suppose.
yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers coming in, playing very, very good football right
True.
now. Number 8.
Fair enough. Number 7. Why do I have to say this team? I don't like this team.
Yeah.
Number 7 is the Seattle Seahawks with 31 total points. They were gone for many weeks. Now they were 10 2 weeks ago. They were 8 last week. And now they're 7 this week. Moving up. They're dangerous, man. They're picking up heat at the right time, and it is scary.
That's the trend of the Seahawks.
I agree.
It really is. All right, coming in at number 6, up a spot from last week is... The Green Bay Packers. Up 1 spot from last week off of their
Coming back!
thrilling, controversial
So many
blaze
things
of
went wrong.
glory. Just, man, what an awful game for the Packers that they had no business winning. But
But they got the W.
they got the W, and that's all that really matters. It feels like forever since they've played, because it's been already a week now since they've played.
True.
And they don't play for a few more days. Man, I might have to break out the Super Bowl DVD again just
Do
to
it.
get myself through this
No
next
kidding.
3 days.
So, Sam, I'm realizing now, your devious mind, what you did to me. Because in our number 5 team, you're going to make me talk about them.
I'm going to talk about them. I'll admit. Well, normally I like to, do the odds, because then I let you take, the number 1 team to kind
Sure.
of wrap us up, finish
Sure,
it off.
sure.
And then I'm like, oh, look, Seattle's at 7, Cincinnati's at 5. This is great.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, yes, our number 5 team for the second week in a row is the Cincinnati Bengals.
If you had voted for them, they wouldn't be number 5.
I know they wouldn't
and
have.
Seattle probably wouldn't have been number 7.
I also agree with you. So it's all my fault at the end of the day. So I am so sorry to have skewed the rankings. However, Cincinnati coming in at number 5 in our power rankings this week.
Big shocker of the BG Power Rankings now, coming in at number 4 after an incredible run. At number 1,
True.
they have dropped now. They could take one loss. They absorbed a loss and still hung on to their number 1 spot by a point last week. But
Yep.
the New England Patriots now are our number 4 team, coming in at 49 points.
Oof, that just is painful. Painful. Number 3, they are up from 5th in week 11 and week 4 they were 12. Let's try that again. In week 11 they were 5th. In week 12 they were 4th.
There
Now
we
in
go.
week 13 they're 3.
Yep.
By week 15, one would assume that they'd be first, but we'll see. That would be the Denver Broncos coming in with 49 points. Big Brock Osweiler, doing everything in his power to keep the Broncos relevant. The defense has really stepped up, and I think Denver could see a spot in the top 2 if they play their cards right.
I think so. Coming in at number 2, up 1 spot from last week. They were at number 3 last week, number 2 right now. They did receive 1 first-place token vote. Thank you, Baxter. Gave them their 1 token first-place vote, but it wasn't enough. The Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? They've got the best offense in football right now.
They do, and they are throwing the ball downfield a lot, and it's looking awesome.
I agree. I think Arizona has a great opportunity to be the NFC representative for the Super Bowl this year.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. And then our number 1 team getting 6 first-place votes is the Carolina Panthers.
This is their first week atop the polls.
It is. Congratulations to Carolina. 6 first-place votes. 69 total points, so congratulations to Carolina as they were in second place for so long.
You know, it took them until week 3 to break into our power rankings. They came in at number 8.
Well, it was one of those teams that we were like, oh, look, they're undefeated. I guess we should still vote for them.
8, 7, 4, 4, 4, 3.
Yeah.
Gosh, 2. Yeah, they're climbing.
Looking back here at a few of these like power rankings,
back
when Dallas was a thing.
Back when we thought like the Colts were going to be a thing.
Colts were only a thing week 1. They were number 4 week 1, and then they got drop kicked out of the power rankings after that.
Man, our preseason rankings, we have the Dolphins at number 9.
Yeah, let's just real fast. So number 10 was Arizona. That's
this is our preseason for the record.
Yes, preseason as voted on before the season even started. Arizona was 10, Miami 9, Philly 8, Dallas 7, Pittsburgh 6, Denver 5, Indy 4, Green Bay 3, New England 2, and Seattle was 1.
Yeah, so one of those things is a lot of the trends that we see in the season, things like that. The Seattle Seahawks, I think we all probably thought would be a playoff contending team. They just never play well during the regular season. So they start off, high in our rankings, fall off the face of the earth until like week 7, and now start climbing back up. So.
I was going to say, we didn't really see Seattle was gone after. What was it? Seattle was gone after week 5 for a few weeks. Then they came storming back in week 10. So that shows you where their drop-off was. And now they went from 10-10, 8-7 in our power rankings this week. So one more time before we go to a break, Sam, who is our new BG Sports Show NFL power rankings?
I guess quick token shout-outs to the Buccaneers and New York Jets, who are peering inside the top 10. But otherwise, 10 Vikings, 9 Kansas City Chiefs, 8 Pittsburgh Steelers, 7 Seattle Seahawks, 6 Green Bay Packers, 5 Cincinnati Bengals, 4 New England Patriots, 3 Denver Broncos, 2 Arizona Cardinals, and your number 1 team, the last undefeated team, the Carolina Panthers.
Absolutely. Let us know your thoughts about the BG Sports Show Power Rankings. We'd love to know what you think about them and if who you would swap out. Or maybe you thought we were crazy or on pace with certain things as well. Let us know your thoughts. We're going to jump to a last break, and when we come back, MLS Cup 2015 was quite the party. And we're going to talk about which Cascadia team took home the cup this last Sunday. We'll be back with more on the BG Sports Show right after this. Welcome back to the BG Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. Sam taking off for the last segment, as he always does here on the BG Sports Show. Special thanks to him. And David Kenyon also was on our show a little bit earlier from Bleacher Report as well, talking about the NFL playoff picture and everything else happening at this time and moment with the football world. Quick little moment here to remind all of you that you can find us all right here on Spreaker.com from 7 to 8 a.m. Central Time, and also on Periscope. Great interaction on Periscope this morning. Great to see all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to tell and share it with your friends as well. We love the shares and appreciate it. We also are on Sports Radio America from 11 to 1 p.m. Central Time, and on demand on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, and on Podbean as well. You can go to our Podbean website at bgsportshow.podbean.com to check out the latest episodes as well of the BG Sports Show. Closing up our show today, it's a few days overdue, but wanted to make mention of the 2015 MLS Cup champion Portland Timbers taking down the Columbus Crew in Columbus. It was a very interesting and intriguing game on all accounts. But overall, though, Portland, the first of the Cascadia teams to come away with a victory. All the goals were scored in the first half. Portland got off to a 2-0 lead after just 7 minutes of play. And then Kai Kamara would answer in the 18th minute to make it 2-1, and then it would just be back and forth after that. A few things to point out, though, in this game. Columbus, only one shot on target, which happened to be the one goal from Kai Kamara. So it was nice to see Kamara, who was rumored to not even be able to play in the game because of picking up a leg injury in practice earlier the week, was still able to play. I find it interesting, too. I saw an article from MLSsoccer.com that Kai Kamara mentioned that had Columbus won MLS Cup, that he would have retired after that. However, they did not win, obviously, so he said he's going to come back for another year and see what he's got left in the tank. I think he's still a prolific striker, one of the best in the game still, and I think that knowing Kai Kamara, he's going to come back bigger and better than ever and do everything in his power to try and help the Columbus Crew come away with a victory as well. Looking here also for Portland, it was the first time Portland has ever won a tournament or a trophy in their team's existence as well. They put 8 of their shots of their 12 total on target, so they definitely were on the right page this week, or this game in general. Diego Valeri scored in the first minute. He was also named MVP of the game. Rodney Wallace had a gorgeous header in the 7th minute as well. However, there was a bit of controversy surrounding the goal because building up to that play, there was a ball that was kicked what looked to be out of bounds. And after further review, it was indeed out of bounds on the far side of the field. The hole of the ball rolled over the line, but the Portland Timber player was there and moved the ball so fast that the referees didn't see it. Columbus saw it. They were freaking out about it, but the referee didn't see it, so play continued, and then that set up Portland with 2 quick passes from Darlington Nagbe to Lucas Milano. And then Milano swung the ball in from the far right side into the box, and Rodney Wallace had pretty much a wide-open glancing header to the near post that made the victory sold for the Portland Timbers. So it was a good season, I think, overall from MLS. A lot of fantastic games were produced. We got to see new and exciting players come into the league as a whole. A quick recap of what the official standings were for you in Major League Soccer. Starting at the bottom, working up in the Eastern Conference, Chicago finished 10, Philadelphia 9, New York City 8, Orlando City 7, Toronto finished in 6th, New England finished in 5, DC United in 4, Montreal in 3, Columbus Crew 2, and the New York Red Bulls 1. That is your Eastern Conference standings. Over in the Western Conference, it was Colorado finishing in 10, Real Salt Lake in 9, Houston Dynamo 8, San Jose 7, and then the playoff teams were Sporting Kansas City at 6, the LA Galaxy at 5, Seattle Sounders 4, Portland Timbers 3, Vancouver Whitecaps 2, and FC Dallas 1. So it was quite an interesting and monumental season from Major League Soccer. Reminder for all of you that are listening to the BG Sports Show that if you enjoy the soccer world, we encourage you to go and check out the soccer show right here on Sports Radio America on Fridays from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. It's called Two Up Front, hosted by myself and Simon Provan every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. check it out. Great soccer insights on that one. A lot of great guests that come on as well. So if you're looking for your soccer fix in a longer fashion, the show is 2 Up Front, the number 2 Up Front. You can get that on Sports Radio America from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, or on iTunes and Spreaker and all that other jazz. So special thanks to David Kenyon of Bleacher Report for coming on the BG Sports Show today. Also to my co-host Sam Wallace, and to all of you that watched on Periscope and listened here on Spreaker.com as well, and on Sports Radio America. Remember, you can get us every Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central, live on Spreaker and on Periscope, and then from 11 to 1 p.m. Central Time on Sports Radio America, sportsradioamerica.com, live 365, and tune in. Remember, a programming announcement: we will not be on the air tomorrow due to myself traveling for Sports Radio America. Check out the ABA games of the week. Those games will be on Saturday evening and on Sunday afternoon as well. Good luck to your favorite sports team this weekend. We look forward to hearing you and seeing you again back on Monday. For Sam Wallace, I'm Baxter Colburn. You've been listening to the BG Sports Show. Enjoy your Thursday and the rest of your week. We'll see you all next time.